Yo, what's up everybody? It's Drewberry and we just got the new season announcement. Finally, let's go. So it's X-Men versus Avengers. It looks sick, man. The new cards look awesome. The cosmetics look fantastic. I'm very excited about this season, but I'm not as excited as I have been in the past. And really quickly, I just want to talk about it. As you're going to see in this video, all of the cards releasing this month are Series 5 releases, 6,000 tokens. And last month, they were all Series 5 releases. I tried advocating to the devs that I think at least one card per month should be a Series 4 release. It just makes sense to me. I thought we were in a good spot with the economy when that was happening. I thought we finally stabilized and found a nice home. And now we're kind of going back, taking steps back, and it's a bit frustrating. Maybe they have plans in the future. Maybe this patch is going to shift things up. I tried communicating that, kind of got shut down, and it seems like it might be just the new normal moving forward, all Series 5. I don't know. It's hard to say. It seems to be more so about what's exciting or not. If the cards are exciting, they're going to be Series 5. If they're not exciting, they're going to be cheaper Series 4. And I think that's just trash. So I'm a little disappointed on that end, but we still got to talk about these cards. We got to give them some star ratings. We got to see if they're going to be good or not, because it is brand new cards joining the game and it can shift the meta and it can still be fun. So let's check it out, starting off with the season pass card that I just talked about, Hope Summers. So I'm not going to talk about this card a whole lot. I just put out a snap or pass video on Hope, and I also mentioned in that video I wasn't sure if she's actually going to be a 3/4 with this ability, because by the time I was making that video I had been completely ghosted by Second Dinner and they weren't giving us any info, so I didn't know. I wasn't sure. Turns out the data mines were correct. Some data mines we can actually rely on, apparently. So anyhow, Hope Summers, 3/4. After you play a card here, you get +1 energy next turn. Now, I think she's amazing. I would have given her 5 stars, but I'm trying this new thing where I only give one card 5 stars to kind of spice it up. Just got to give you guys an idea of which one I think is going to be the best. So I think there is a card in this that I think is going to be a little bit better. We're going to see. I don't know. I'm a little bit torn. I'm giving her 4 stars. I think she's going to be fantastic. I think she's going to be a great card to plug and play in a lot of decks. I was talking about in the Snapper Pass, we got Surfer decks, we got Junk decks, Green Goblin, amazing synergy. You know, you play Green Goblin at her location, it sends over -3 power, it gives you +1 energy for the next turn. Man, it's unreal. The movement package, Katie Pride on repeat, it's so good. Somebody even mentioned in the comments Cerebro 4, and it's not a bad idea. I think it'd be pretty sick. I'm willing to try. So anyways, if you want more details about this card, check out the Snapper Pass video. I will have it in the link below, but let's move on to the next card. Next up is PIXIE, a 2/1 on reveal. Shuffle the cost of all cards in your deck that started there. To clarify, if you play Thanos and you have Infinity Stones and they're in your deck, they didn't start there, so that's not gonna count. Or if like somebody threw in some rocks and stuff like that with Korg and Darkhawk and stuff like that, I think it's like when the game started, those are the cards that started there, and they're going to be available to shuffle, which is actually not too bad, because you'd think putting rocks in the deck maybe messes up your chances of the swaps. But anyhow, you'll know what will be available to swap. So maybe it seems nice to play around too, right? You got Wasp, you got Yellow Jacket in the deck, you got Magneto and whatever else, and they swap, and hopefully in the right order, and then you end up with a 0-cost Magneto, and that's like good situation. But that's not always gonna happen, right? Because what if you draw some of those cards in advance? Well, and dilutes your swappability, right? Also, Yellow Jacket and Wasp could swap. I don't see why not. So they just end up the same cost. So there's some risk, some weird deck building. I don't know. I'm torn. That's why I gave it 3 stars. I think this is a super hard card to evaluate. And not to mention, if anyone keeps track of statistics and win rates, you will know that at the beginning of the month, when everyone's rank resets, everybody's playing bots on bots, so many bots, and the win rates of these new cards, the season pass card and the first card released in the given month, has an incredibly inflated win rate. It's like in the 60%. That's what happened with Black Swan and Supergiant. They're back down to reality now. They used to be in like the 60s. Same with Scar and Kyera. So just be aware of that when you're looking at like people talking about, oh, 90% win rate with this card. It's like, yeah, cool, but how many bots did you face? And do you know if they're bots or not? Just look out for that. Anyhow, this card seems good. I could easily give it 4 stars. I'm just just not sure, man. Stay tuned. I'm going to do a snapper pass on Monday with this card. I'm going to talk about it in more detail, but I think combinations with Mobius is just insane. You play this on 2, you play Mobius on 3, everything that you draw is cash money. Because even if that Wasp became a 6/1 because it swapped with Magneto, well, it doesn't even matter. Mobius is going to bring it down to a 0 again. And then that Magneto is going to stay as a 0. He's going to be a 0/12. It's going to be amazing. Then you use Jane Foster to draw all that stuff. So like the combinations are there. It looks sick. But I don't know. There's an element of RNG a little bit here. And she's a super weak body, right? Playing a 2/1 isn't so great. But you can play it later on. If you're using the deck tracker on PC, you know what's in your deck. You play PIXIE on turn 5 just so that like your draw is guaranteed to be fire. I don't know. Could be pretty interesting. So I'm just putting her 3 stars because I genuinely don't really know how to evaluate this card. And here is the card that I think is going to be the best this March, okay? And it is Mockingbird, a 5/9, costs 1 less for each card you have in play that didn't start in your deck. I'm giving Mockingbird 5 stars. This is the card I'm saving my resources for. I'm fired up, okay? So to give some context of the available cards that could discount Mockingbird, right? So there are cards that generate other cards like Agent 13 or even Sentinels, as an example. You play those, you put them on the board, it's going to discount Mockingbird. Huzzah. Then you also got tokens, right? So tokens, the squirrels from Squirrel Girl, or the drones from Ultron, or the broodlings from Brood. All these sorts of things, the tiger from White Tiger, and et cetera, are going to discount Mockingbird. Even those cards that are summoned from locations. So squirrels from Central Park or the monster from Monster Island. These are all going to be in play, didn't start in your deck, and are going to discount Mockingbird, which just seems unreal to me. Not to mention Thanos stones, the Infinity Stones. They do not start in your deck. It's a start of game effect. So you're going to put them in the deck, and then you play any of those, and it's going to discount Mockingbird. How easy is it when you play Thanos to play like 2 or 3 stones, right? So easy. And then what happens? Mockingbird is going to be like a 2, 9, a 3, 9. Anything like that is unbelievable value, right? Because that, in my eyes, is like the cash money, the best stat line, because you're not in Shang-Chi range. So it's just 9 power that's not going anywhere. And then also, it doesn't cost a lot. Hell, if we duplicate our hand with Moon Girl and we get 2 of these in our hand, I know I keep doing that with like Proxima and whatnot, but this one seems even more efficient because any of the copied cards from Moon Girl can be played to discount Mockingbird, and then you could get 2 of them to play on turn 6 for probably borderline nothing. So it just seems amazing, man. I could see like a Moon Girl Thanos list just taking off, being so good, and constantly getting like 2 Mockingbirds out on the board for 18 power for almost like probably 2 energy, 1 energy, 0 energy. I'm sure is going to happen frequently. Not to mention this variant is one of the nicest variants I feel like I've seen in a very long time. So I'm definitely getting that. And this card, when they release, cannot wait. This is my #1 pick for March. Okay, let's get to the next one. Next up is Cannonball. Let's go. Cannonball, man. So this is the only card from the video that got changed since the data mines, which is pretty interesting. Same stat line at 5/8, but now has the ability on reveal, move the highest power enemy card here away. If you can't, destroy it with a rock. So I believe the old version was just a random enemy card. So it was going to move a random enemy card, and if it couldn't move, then it would get destroyed and you leave a rock in its place. Now it's just going to move the highest, which is much better. That's targeted, right? So every time you play Cannonball, you know what you're going to move. When I was first thinking about this card, I thought it was like Spider-Man 2099 because it was random, right? We just didn't know what we were going to move, and we might destroy it if the locations are full. And it just, it gave me bad vibes. But now I'm starting to think this is really good. This is actually seeming like a much better Stegron. Stegron's literally just slapping a random card from your opponent's side. He's a little bit cheaper, but this guy has got the potential of destroying. So I was thinking, okay, so Wong, pretty good, right? You can move 2 cards away, save Cannonball for like the last turn. You move 2 cards away, probably win that location. If you don't move them, you destroy them. So that's great as well. Then there's also Professor X. If you lock up a location on turn 5, well then more than likely they don't have a whole lot of places for those cards to go, and then Cannonball could be a destroy 1 guarantee, the highest power card that is. And he's got 8 power on himself, so he could easily swing a location just with a Cannonball play. Man, I'm starting to think this is a really good card. This is another one that could be 4 stars, man. It seems pretty strong all of a sudden. You could also maybe discount this with like Sarah on turn 5, and then you could play Cannonball on as a 4 cost with something else. Who knows? Even Debris seems pretty good, nice. I think in a junk type deck, maybe like a clog deck that focuses more on just making sure that your opponent's side of the board is constantly full with a lot of stuff like goblins and debris and whatnot. That could be pretty nice as well, because again, now we have the benefit of knowing that if I do send a goblin over, I'm not going to risk destroying that with the Cannonball swing. It's always going to be the highest power card that's there. That's really nice. That's a huge buff for this guy. I'm glad to see it. So he's a lot more interesting. Again, a Series 5 release. That's a bit of a bummer, but seems much stronger than before. But then we got the last card, and let's check him out. And then we get War Machine. About time. He's got so many variants because he's been in the game for so long. He's been a data mine for a very long time. At least the artwork has anyways. But here's his ability. Okay, so a 4/6 on reveal until the end of next turn. Nothing can stop you from playing cards anywhere. That seems pretty good. Okay, so I was pretty down on this ability at first, I won't lie. But then I started to think about it more, and I was like, my first glance was, I don't feel like there's enough applications, enough instances where that's going to matter to warrant playing a 4-drop, and it's a next turn setup so your opponent knows it's going to happen. But the more I think about it, I think it's just really nice. It's just a really nice play, and a 4/6 body is totally fine. We can discount this with Zabu or something like that, and then you can just play a bunch of cards wherever you want on the next turn. And wherever you want. But let's explain that a little bit. So Professor X locks up a lane. Well, all of a sudden it's open for you, not your opponent. I think that's a huge positive to this card. It's not a reciprocal effect. That absolutely gives a lot more value to this card, let me tell you. On top of that, there's flooded locations with Storm. Jean Grey, even if we don't want to bother playing a card over her location, War Machine will allow us to just play wherever we want. So the only thing I see with this card is it feels like a lockdown card through and through, which has been a pretty prevalent archetype in Marvel Snap, especially in Conquest. I could see this being a Conquest beast. So I'm definitely a lot more high on this card. I'm giving him 4 stars. I don't think he's 5-star material. I just feel like it's a little bit too narrow in its application to warrant that, but it's definitely strong, man. You can't say this card's weak. It looks pretty good. But so do all the cards this month, and maybe that's why they're making them Series 5, but I don't feel like just because the cards are interesting justifies the heavy price tag. Bit of a bummer. Anyways, I got the Spotlight Cash schedule because they actually gave that a little bit in advance so we know which cards are when and what variants are included. So let's check it out. Boom, here it is. Here's the schedule for March, confirmed as well. Unless these cards change closer to the release, which has happened before, then it seems like this is going to be it. So they're all Series 5. Lots of Series 4 mixed into these Spotlight Caches. I gotta say, I'm not too thrilled about it all. I don't even know which one I'd really prefer to open for. Of course, if you don't own a few of these cards, then it's always a good time for you. Unfortunately, I own all of the cards available, so this is a terrible Spotlight Cash month for me, but the cards are good, which is just really making it conflicting. I don't know. I think probably the War Machine week because there's a couple cool variants there for me, but of course, you just got to look at your location, see what you're missing, and then use your Spotlight Caches on that. What are the cards that you're most excited for? So let me know in the comments below which ones you think are going to be the best, which ones you're most excited, how you feel about all these Series 5 releases. Yeah, I want to hear it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. The next video will be the PIXIE Snap or Pass. I'm hoping to have that ready for you Monday, the day before she releases. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.